Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everyone doing on this good old Monday evening? It is I'm sorry, I said Monday. It's actually Tuesday. On this good old Tuesday evening, because it's Tuesday because it's my mother's birthday today. But in this video, I am going to go through how to put the roll paper in the Epson, the newer Epson printer. So that's the 7820, the 7840, the 7310, and then there's also one which is the EC-C7000 printer. I'm going to go through and show you how to load the roll paper for those particular printers. I've done this for the 7720. I've done it for like the Eco tanks and loading it from the rear feed. I will do another video focusing on the rear feed for this printer. Where my printer is now, I cannot reach it. I don't often use the rear feed because I cannot reach my rear feeds of my printers because they're in a closet and I can't stand dealing with trying to reach that rear feed. But if yours is in a space where it is easier reached, then you definitely can use the rear feed of your printer to load paper, especially if you're using 13-inch paper with the 7820, 7840, 7310, and EC-C7000 printers. But that is what I'm going to go over today. If this is a printer that you use for sublimation, or even if you use it as a pigment ink printer, but you want to print two rolls. Can't really find like an 8-inch roll or 11-inch roll. You probably have to cut it down, but maybe you can find like a 13. It would be the same thing. So if this is something that you are interested in and you need to know how to do, go ahead and stick around. All right. Just need to kind of reset here. So we are going to get started in just 30 seconds. All right, hello and welcome back again. I am Shakia, the professor of SILAHOLICS Anonymous and the product line Honestly Speaking, which we do sell the sublimation paper rolls on our website, shop.silaholicsAnonymous.com. So if you are in the market for sublimation paper, ink, regular sublimation sheets, or for the rolls, you can visit our website, shop.silaholicsAnonymous.com. We do carry the 13-inch rolls. It is out of stock right now. We're, waiting for that shipment to get here, but we still have some 8.5 by 11s. I believe we do. But you can always check out the site for that to see if we have any available. But again, that is shop.silaholicsAnonymous.com. All right. So with the 7820, 7840, 7310, and the EC-C7000 printers, you can print longer than the 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, 17, or 19, or 13 by 19. With these printers, you actually can print up to 47.24 inches long. So that's where the rolls come in handy. Like if you want to do multiples of mask, if you have a bunch of, which I don't understand, like the business card type deals, if you're using those as rewards cards, or one of our members where they were making ID cards for the elves on the shelves. Very creative idea. So if you needed to do a bunch of those, you wanted to print them all out at one time. If you're doing like a pillow that's 16 by 16, you want to end up piecing two pieces together, like longer sheets. You want to do an all over shirt with the 8.5-inch white paper or roll paper. 13 inches, you can do just like maybe 3 sheets versus 3 like long sheets of paper and tape them together compared to doing 6 sheets of 13 by 19. There are a lot of benefits to using the roll paper when it comes to sublimation. Like I said, you can print up to 47.24 inches long with the printer. My printer is not necessarily, like, it's technically not set up for sublimation, but whether it is for sublimation or not, the printer still works the same. The only difference is the ink. So although I will not be pressing what I'm going to print out from this printer, it is just going to simply show you how to go about setting it up and how to print it out from these particular printers. Okay. So I'm going to use Silhouette Studio. If you are someone that uses Cricut Design Space, this would not be ideal for you because you're limited to 8.5 by 11 with printing from that software. You will have to invest in a software like Silhouette Studio, or like Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, Illustrator, Corel Draw, Inkscape, even technically Microsoft Word. You can go and be able to do pages longer. For me, that's more of just like a source to print from, not necessarily to design from, but you definitely can print from um, Microsoft Word if that was your only option. But it's better to deal with more of like of a graphic designing program outside of Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to use Silhouette Studio to show you guys how to print from, like, how to set up your design page and how to print from the 7820, 7840, 7310, and the EC-C7000 when it comes to printing to the roll sheets. Okay. All right. So in Silhouette Studio, normally when you have this on, it'll be set to like Cameo. You'll see a matte, or you may have yours set to none. You may not see the matte. You may just see the arrow. But for sublimation, because if you're not doing like sublimation to glitter, sublimation to easy subli, or anything like that, you will not need the machine at all because you're not going to cut anything. It then becomes simply a graphic designing software. That's it. So you're going to set your machine to none because you're not using it. It automatically sets your cut. This does is it allows you to set your design page even up to 47.24 inches long. If I had my machine on, and let's say I had a mat on of 12 by 12, it's going to go there. It constrains it to whatever you're putting it on. Even if I have no mat, right? But I have a Cameo, I can only go 12 inches. If you are wanting to do 13 inches wide, it will never let you go to 13 inches because the max size for a Cameo machine is simply 12 inches for the 12-inch machine. If I went to the Plus, it would allow me to go 15 inches wide. But the best practice is to just set this to none because you're not using a machine at all. Then you're going to set your page range, as far as what size paper you're using. For this demonstration, I'm going to only use the 8.5 by 11 because, again, in order to do 13 inches wide with the 7840, you have to go through the rear feed. You will see once I switch over to it, it's inside of a closet. It sits up kind of high. I would have to be standing up on a step stool, and y'all, my butt would be all in your face. So I can't necessarily do the rear feed to show you 13 inches, but it would pretty much be the same other than you just choosing rear feed. And my recommendation when you're doing that is to not put your paper in that rear feed slot until the printer prompts you to, because it's going to notice that there's no paper there. But I'm going to go through the tray using 8.5 inch wide paper. The one that I have here, I just randomly cut this. I don't even know what size this is. Oh, wow. It's right at 8.5 by 14. Isn't that kind of cool? So it would be better, of course, if it was a longer sheet. It would show kind of better with it hanging out. I guess I'll cut another sheet, but I'm not going to print to that other sheet just so that you can see it feed through. But for this one, we're going to go 8.5 by 14. Oops. By 14. Okay. And then you would design within this space. So let me see. What can I open? File, merge. What can I open to print onto here? This thing prints so slow that I really don't want to put anything with a lot of color. Like, it prints kind of slow to me. I'm just gonna do, that's a lot of color. I don't want to do that. Which one do I want to do? That has a lot of color. Okay, let's do HS Ink Vibes only. I'm going to turn it sideways. All right, let's select all of this and move this off to the side. And I want this one. So I'm going to maximize this by rotating this, holding down Shift to snap it that way. And I'm going to size this up to where I'm maximizing my 8.5 by 14. You would size this based off of whatever size you would need. Okay. And then we're going to set this up to print. This being 8.5 by 14, you would just set your, use your 8.5 by 14 settings. I do have a video that goes over print settings. Just search, honestly speaking, sublimation, updated sub settings. If you're watching the playback of this, I will add a link to the top. You'll see it flash across, which that will take you directly to that particular video. But I'm going to go to print. If you are using version 4.4, you will see a silhouette print preview come up. Don't mind what that print preview looks like. What you will do is scroll down and hit that blue print button. Once you hit that, it will not send it to print. Don't worry about what the print preview looks like. Once you hit that blue print, it will open up your preference page. You still have to hit print to send it to your printer from here. So it's going to open up this one. You're going to go to the printer that you're going to print from. So in my case, it's fine, my 7840. Oh my gosh, why are you saying offline? Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. Let's go to preferences. I don't know why this is saying offline. Let me turn it off and turn it back on. Hopefully it will be back online by the time I do that. I just printed from this thing. I don't know why it's showing offline. Okay. We're going to let that set up and hopefully it won't say that it's offline. So we're going to cancel that. It's still saying it offline. While I'm waiting for that to power up, what I will go through is show you how to set it up for the longer sheets, which that is still in my other video. The steps will be the same. So for now, we're going to go to preferences. You would come to where it says document size. You're going to go to user define. I already have an 8.5 by 47 here. So you're going to go to user define. I already have one here. You would label this 8.5 by 47. Even if you're only printing to 24 inches, 36 inches, still set this up as 47 inches long. You can do the 47.24 if you need the extra space, but I normally just do mine at 47 inches. So you would type that in here. Then where it says paper width, that will be 8.5 by 14. I know it's hard to see it here. And then for the paper height, you're going to put 47.24 or just 47. All right. And then you would hit OK. I'm going to go back to user define. I'm going to go here. And so this is 8.5 by 8.5 by 47. This says 8.5. This says 47 inches. Even though this one says user define, it definitely does say 8.5 by 7.24. Because I said it like that, but this is the one that I plan to use. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel. Now that you have that set, you don't have to worry about redoing that every single time. You're going to go to user define. And you're going to, you're going to click, well, normally it might say 8.5 by 11 there, but you're going to click on document size and you're going to go to 8.5 by 47 or you can't set it to 13. It would be 12.95. I'm going to go back here again And maybe that's what I should have set up. Well, I already kind of had the banner one. So what you would do is set this up. I'm going to go, the user defined is going to be 13 by 47. But here it tells you the max that you can set it up for is 12.95 by 47.24. And I'm going to hit save. So that's going to save that here. Okay. And we're going to hit OK. So now that says 47. That's if you're using the wider 13-inch wide paper. You can still use a 13, but the setting is only 12.95. But let's go back to the 8.5 because that's what we're going to print to. So we're going to go to 8.5 by 47. I always use plain paper, bright white. My quality is set to high. There is nothing higher than that with the 7840. So you set it to high. My quiet mode is on. More options. I always do. Custom advanced, under color controls, Adobe RGB, 1.8. You can change your density here. I kind of just make it -5, and then we're going to hit OK. Bidirectional on doesn't really matter. If you're using your printer as a sublimation printer, you want to go ahead and set your mirror image in your print settings. And then you're going to go over to maintenance, go to extended settings, thick paper and envelope. Last time I get a lot of emails asking about this. I never touch it because it is what is default, where it says allow applications to perform ICM color matching. So it doesn't mean anything to me because in Silhouette Studio, you cannot set an ICM or ICC profile anyway. That's something that's default. Whether it's checked or not means absolutely nothing to your color output. Reduce printer data size. It doesn't even matter if that's checked. That is default. I mean, you can check it or uncheck it. It really doesn't affect the print because I get a lot of emails. Oh, well, you did one, it was checked, and you did the other one, it was not. With the newer printers, this is kind of default. On my 7720, that was not default. A lot of the Eco Tanks and the newer printers, that's default. It really doesn't matter. I haven't noticed a difference with it being checked or unchecked. But the settings that I note are the ones that you need to make sure that you have in place. If you're doing sublimation, it's like a lot of colors, and the way this printer prints, you do want to take your density down. I recommend like -15 with this printer because there's so many pizza wheels on this particular printer. So I'm going to take my density down to -15. I'm going to hit OK. Then you're going to go back to more options and go add or remove presets. We're going to label this 8.5 by, most important part, forgot this part. We're going to close this real quick. We're going to go back to main. The printer, these new printers, I don't like how they work and like how it decides which tray to send it to. Most times when I do this, it will default to the rear feed, and that is annoying. I'm like, okay, I'm sending it to go. Then I get an error. There's no paper in the rear feed. If you're using the roll, it's going to be best if you're not using the rear feed to do it from tray 1. You want to set that as your default. So you're going to come to paper source and you're going to choose paper cassette 1. And then now you can add or remove preset. And so we're going to go 8.5 by 47. I'm just going to put roll just to make it's different from a setting that I already have on there. I'm just going to choose this green notebook as my icon for it. And I'm going to hit save. So now that's there. You can make presets for all the different presets that you need to do. We're going to close that out. Now, if I go to here, actually, I'm going to go to this preset. I think all of mine are set to cassette 1 now. But if I go here, you saw it move to auto select. If I click on here, it's paper cassette. The document size changes. My paper type. So up here, it's premium presentation paper matte. This is my regular printer. So I use premium presentation paper matte for regular prints, not for sublimation prints. So I'm going to go here. Everything is set. I'm going to cancel for now. Okay, it's saying that it is ready. So I'm going to go to preferences. Even though this is technically only 8.5 by 14-inch paper, I know that I cut it from the roll just so that you don't make that mistake. Anytime you cut from the roll, just use that roll setting. It's not going to look for more paper. You're cutting your paper down to the size that you need. It's only going to print where you visibly have a design at, so you don't have to worry about extra paper. If you cut from the roll, don't worry about what size you cut it to. As long as it is 47 inches or shorter, always use your roll setting, okay? Before I send that to print, I'm going to show you guys how to adjust your tray. So this is the tray from the 7820, 7840 printers. These are a little bit different than the other ones, like how this part is set up here. It's a blessing and a curse the way this is set up because it's a lot of gappage, but it can also somewhat help prevent a lot of bunching up, like when it bunches up at this point here, okay? You adjust the width of the paper with this. You adjust the length of the tray with this one right here. Only time that this will sit flush in your printer is when it's at its shortest, and that is simply for 8.5 by 11 or smaller paper. And then with this, you can only, actually this one is not like the other one. You can actually go in as small as, I believe, 3 inches. On the other one, if you were in 8.5, you couldn't go this close. All right, but you can move this out. So you can go as small as, like, if you have scraps left, you want to do a 3-inch by 11 piece, you can send that to print if you just set your design page size to that. So this is width and this is the height, the length of it. The minute you go out for 8.5 by 14, you have to come out to at least, this one I don't think actually has, let me see, hold on. Yeah, this only has 2 settings. On the 7820, 7840, there's 3, like where there's the flush, then there's 1 click, and then there's 2 clicks. With this, there's only 2 clicks. So 8.5 by 11 is here. Anything larger than 8.5 by 11, you're going to pull it out. And there is no in between like the other ones. And the instructions are right there to tell you what's number 1 and what's number 2. Okay. So this is it fully extended. Once it's like this, it will not close all the way in your printer because that well is only so big. So yes, you are not doing anything, like it's supposed to stand out. If you're not doing anything wrong when this sticks out of the printer, you cannot force it in there once you have larger size paper. For the sublimation paper rolls, when it's on a roll, the outside is the print side. So this goes down in your tray, which I just realized I told the person kind of wrong. Hopefully she's watching this video because yeah, I forgot for the tray, it will curl up because your print side goes down. So with this here, we're just going to put that down and bring it to the sides. If you were doing something that was longer than this tray only extends to 17 inches long. So you can put longer paper in here. What will happen is because it's extended, it's not going to catch on anything. You let that paper hang off the printer like this. This is how you let this hang off, okay? Just let it hang off like that. It's perfectly fine. I'll cut another piece and I'll send it through for you. But we're going to put this on here like this. It doesn't even really matter if you move this because, like I said, most times you're going to be using it for longer pieces than 11 by 7, well, than 17 inches, and it's going to hang over. Don't worry about this when using the roll because this is curling up anyway. It's not going to hold it in place. Now, inside your printer, which is going to be, I can't show you from here, but inside your printer, if you ever look in yours, once you push the tray in, there is a little arm that comes down that has 2 wheels on it. And it grips literally right in here. And it makes a connection pretty much with these wheels right here. these wheels combined with the wheels from that little arm that comes down is what helps feed your paper through. So you have to make sure that your paper stays up towards the front. So once you go to load this in your printer, you want to hold this like this so that it feeds in properly, and always make sure. So like right now it moved. It needs to be snug up against it. And you're going to hold this like this and guide it in. As I go over there, you'll see me do that to send this through. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit OK to print. It's going to spool. And once that finish spooling, it's going to ask me for the paper anyway. And that's when I'll go over there to put it in. Most times, well, no, I've actually put it in. You just want to make sure that it's in there properly. So I'm going to go ahead over there and put that in properly. Okay. So it's actually already spooled. It's going to start to ask me for it. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see my screen because my camera is so far away. All right. So hopefully you guys can still hear me because I'm going to walk away from my microphone. Just like the 7820, the 7720, 7710, all of those, you're going to get a paper mismatch because this is longer paper. Paper mismatches are initiated if the paper size change or the paper type. So even though this may have been set to plain paper before, the fact that I am printing onto a longer paper now, it is going to trigger a paper mismatch. So it says on here, the paper size and type in cassette 1 does not match the specified print settings. You do not hit cancel. You do not hit close. You hit done. This is going to bring up another option. Select the print settings. The top says 11 by 17 plain paper. That's not what I'm printing to. I'm printing to the one that says user defined plain paper. So you're going to tap on that bottom option. All right, and then it's going to say load your paper and hit print. So I'm going to make sure this is to the top. I'm going to grab it here, put it in. I kind of look down and check it, and I make sure that those rollers have gripped the paper. If it has moved back some and the rollers aren't on the paper, is how you get paper jams. So now that it's in there, I'm going to go ahead and hit print. Remember, print side goes down. So it's going to curl up towards you a little bit. If you have a longer piece, which I'm going to cut a longer piece, it's going to hang over. But this one is, because it's short, it is going to curl up a little bit, but it should not jam. So we're going to go ahead and hit print. That's going to come out. It pulls through and it starts to print. Easy as that to load the rolls. I'm going to cut a sheet that is a little bit longer. Again, I'm not going to put any print on this. I'm just going to simply cut this so that it's 47 inches, and you can see how this is going to feed through. Oh, wait. Here is, grab the scissors. This is a roll that was kind of messed up. This is my demo roll because it was messed up in shipping and got a little dent in it. So I normally just kind of use this for smaller prints so that that little dip doesn't affect anything. All right, so I'm going to cut that off. I'm not even going to go 47. I'm just going to do like the length of my cutting mat here. So I'm going to go like 36 inches. It needs to be straight on the leading edge. So I'm going to cut this kind of weird right now. But I'm going to put it in my paper trimmer to get the line kind of straight, because I really don't feel like trying to pull out, like move all this stuff off my desk to cut a straight line on my self-healing mat. So I just cut this off kind of raggedy like. And then where did my paper trimmer go? I just had you. Where did my paper trimmer go that fast? Now, guess not. Now, what happened now? I just cut that one down, so I just had my paper trimmer. Jesus, wherefore art thou, paper trimmer? Oh, I put it back where it belongs. I actually did something right and then couldn't find something because I put it back where it belongs. So I'm just going to put this on my paper trimmer, and I'm just going to make where I have a clean leading edge. I don't even care about the bottom half. That really doesn't matter as long as you have a clean leading edge. So that's printing. I'm going to set this up to send it to print with just with this thing in there. Like I said, it's just going to come straight out. I just want you to see how it loads. So I'm going to go over to the computer to set that up. And I'm sorry, I don't know. I stepped in front of it, so it's not focusing anymore. I do apologize that that's not focusing, but hopefully you got the idea when it comes to that. You can see that's on plain paper setting, and it still prints out really slow. These printers are not as fast as the 7710, 7720, 7210. They print out much, much slower, even on plain paper setting. All right, let's go back. All right, we're going to go back over here, and I'm going to remove this. I'm going to set this for 8.5 by 36. And then just so that you can see it print, I'm going to put a black line at the bottom, just so I'm not wasting a bunch of paper. And we're going to fill that in with a gray color instead of black, right? So you'll see it feed through, and it's going to print this last little bit here. I'm going to go up a little bit because I don't know if I'm right at 36 inches. So I'm going to go up a little bit. So we're going to go File, Print. I'm going to go, technically, I really don't have to do anything. If I go to Preferences, I'm still on 8.5 by 47. All of my settings are the same. So that's why I said, if you're using the roll, just leave it because you're going to use that same setting no matter what. So all I had to really do, I did that so you guys can see it, but I already knew it was set up because that was the last setting that I did. So I'm just going to hit print on this. It's going to spool, and we're going to head back over to the printer. And I have no idea why this is showing so blurry. Sorry, y'all. All right, I'm going to load this one now back into the printer. And so see, this prints out. Even though I cannot sub this because this is pigment ink. This was just for demonstration purposes only. This is pigment ink. I cannot sub this. Just because you put something on sublimation paper, if it is not sub ink, you cannot sub it. All right. So I'm going to push this back in. It's going to give you a paper mismatch. This printer gives you another paper mismatch. Well, it'll give you a paper mismatch regardless because you're doing a user-defined one. So it's going to give me a paper mismatch. So I'm going to go ahead and hit done. It's going to still say 11 by 17, user-defined. You're going to go ahead and hit user-defined. And then we're going to put this in here. So again, it's on the roll like this. So it's going to curl up towards you. Wait, which one is my clean side? Okay, this is my clean side. My clean edge. So we're going to take this, pull this out. I'm going to slide this in until it is to the front. I'm kind of just filling, making sure it's to the front. I mean, you can even just hold your hand here and guide it in. You just want to make sure that, and see, it's not going to fall out. This is how it will sit on the printer, sitting outside of the printer. You're going to hit print. It's going to push that out again. It's not going to interfere with anything. And wait. Oh, I forgot to push this all the way in. So I actually need to check and make sure that my rollers grabbed it. It did. Okay. And see, it pulls it all the way in, pulls all the way out, and it's going to print on that last little portion. That's how easy it is to load your rolls into through the front tray. If it's like a 8.5 up to 11-inch roll. Because of this printer, it actually printed. I still wasn't high enough. Haha. I guess I was nowhere near 36 inches. Oh, yeah, this was definitely only 34 inches. So I just printed all inside of my printer. Or probably, yep, I printed right on the edge of this. So I'm going to have to put some paper towel in there and probably soak up some ink. Luckily, I only did a little gray line because it didn't print on here at all because it actually wasn't 36 inches. Probably was before I cut off the extra. But we may consider getting 11-inch rolls because it'll make it easier for this particular printer. we already have our order coming in. It's not, we don't have any 11-inch rolls on there, but because I know that this printer does 11 inches, now it is a viable option because you can't do 13 inches from the tray. You have to do 13 inches from the rear feed. And like I said, it's harder for me to get to mine back there, but I'll do a different video. I'll try and get the camera all angled correctly, and you can see me just pull. It's the same thing. It's just that from there, print side goes forward, and you again want to have a clean edge and just put that in there, size it. It's going to catch it and pull it through. You just don't try not to put it in there until it asks for the paper and says, load your one sheet of paper into the tray. Okay. All right, so that is how you use the roll paper with the newer Epson printers, the 7820, 7840, 7310, and EC-C7000 printer. Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys in knowing how to not just set up the print settings and set it up for the roll paper, but also how to load it into the machine and how to properly work your trays. I do see a question here. Do I offer Sublimation ink? Yes, we do. So for ink, it's the same ink as any of the other printers. The only difference is the cartridge. The cartridges for these are much longer than the other ones, but we do sell the cartridges. They have the chips. With these particular printers, you have to change out the chips on them as they go out, which I will be doing very soon because these are very, very low. So even with using pigment ink, it doesn't matter what type of ink you use in it, you have to change out the chips. But doing this method is still going to be a lot more economical than me still buying Epson cartridges, because I get more bang for my buck using the refillables and changing out the chip, which is less expensive than buying a full Epson cartridge. So with pigment ink, I still use my refillable cartridges, but we do sell the cartridges and you can fill them with Sublimation ink or pigment ink. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful. She says, I need it. Thank you. I need this so much. Awesome. But don't forget, I'm going to go ahead and let you know where you can get that from on the website. I'm sorry, the little one is yelling. It was perfect all the way until the end. But we're going to go over here. If you go to where it says Sublimation Starter Collection and then go to 812, go here, then it has everything that you need. This is the kit this is the kit that has the cartridges, the ink, and the syringes and needles. These do not come pre-filled, pre-primed. All you have to do is fill them up. Make sure that, and I'll show you what the vent hole is. Make sure there is nothing in the vent hole, and it is the plug is only in your fill hole. As you can see from the picture, they come with the plugs in the vent hole, but that's not where you want to keep them at. So this is including the ink. This one is without ink. It's just the cartridges and the syringes and needles. And then under each one of these, you can go to chips only, which we will have a listing for just the chips by itself, but you will have to, buy chips. So you just come back to the kit. You don't have to rebuy the kit again, but you want to click where it says chips only and you purchase the 4 chips. It is there. It is also under just the regular set. The chips only are there, and we will have it by itself. Under pigment ink, we just added it. There is no picture for it, unfortunately, but this is the one for the 7840 for pigment ink. This does include the ink as well. So for the 139, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, this includes the ink also. Yep, it includes a refillable cartridge and a full set of pigment ink. I have to reshoot the picture for the pigment ink the way I did the other ones, but that's where you would go, either the starter collection, or go to the pigment ink collection for the 7820, 7840, 7310 printers, which is the 812 cartridges. Again, that is shop.silaholics.com. Yes, so if you have the 7820 and use it for regular printing, you'll know that if you try to buy Excel rated cartridges from Epson, those are what, 20, oh gosh, I forget what the cost is. It's like There's just the standard ones, which is what you normally find in the store. Those are $12.99. The standard ones are, I want to say $24.99, 24. Oh God, I forget how much they are. But if you were to buy the full set of XL cartridges for cyan, magenta, yellow, and the one for black, it will cost you $130, I believe. Our set of just buying just the chips is $60. So you are literally like you're saving a whole lot more. Like it's way better than buying the Epson cartridges. And then of course, you get a lot of refills from our bottles because our bottles are 140 milliliters. So you get a lot of refills with that. And then the chips for the full set only cost you $60, where if you were to buy a set of XL cartridges, it will cost you $130. All right, y'all. I don't want this to be too long. I don't want anyone to be scared about watching this video. Like, oh my gosh, I got to wait a whole hour to learn how to use the roll paper. But hopefully it broke everything down for you. I showed how to set up your print settings, how to load the paper, how to adjust your tray, how to load the paper to get it to print, to minimize jams. So hopefully this was helpful for you. If it was, please do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave out, and hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I release new content. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for joining me tonight. I'm about to go eat dinner. So until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.